All right, shalom, shalom. I'd like to start up with saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harakak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, double honors to our elder apostle as well. I heard one by Yashar all down here in the Lions Den camp. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Canucks on by Yashar from the Lions of the Yashar camp, and this is going to be a quick, hydrated, spiritual news and prophecy. All right, so let's get it. This is Second Ezra 15:1. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written on paper, because they are faithful and true." All right. So this particular article says Russia warns of nuclear clash with NATO, and that's exactly what we want. That would be prophetically going into Revelations 13. It says, "Who can make war with the beast? Who is like unto the beast? Or who can make war with him?" And Yahweh Shemel Shai is setting Russia up to be that entity that can take that can really is really gonna, because you're gonna have a lot of NATO countries turn against America. But really, the clash is gonna be with Russia and America, and you know what I'm saying, and the rest of uh, um what is it said? The rest of the 10 heads shall turn and hate the whore and burn her with fire. All right, so now this is what this is talking about: possible nuclear fallout, um or nuclear war between two major nuclear powers. All right, it says Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov has warned that the hostile policy of NATO countries could lead to a head-on clash between nuclear powers. Speaking during a webinar hosted by the Center for Energy and Security Studies, Ryabkov cited United States deployments in Europe, joint nuclear missiles missions, and plans to weaponize space and destabilizing moves that compel Russia to take compensatory military technical measures. All right. It says the remarks came as Russian President Vladimir Putin oversaw a major nuclear exercise involving intercontinental ballistic missiles, strategic bombers, and submarine launched ballistic missiles. The Kremlin released footage of the drill, which followed with the abrupt cancellation of a planned summit between Putin and President Trump. I did a lesson on that yesterday because um, um, because there was supposed to be and there was supposed to be a summit in Bulgaria, I think it was. Yeah, because I said Budapest, but it's Bulgaria. Wait, no, Budapest. Budapest. It's supposed to be one in Budapest. Let me get it right. But it was canceled. And another thing that was canceled because the United States said they were going to give Ukraine Tomahawk cruise missiles that would be able to reach inner parts of Russia, right? But Trump put a hold on that after a phone conversation that was had between Marco Rubio and Dmitry Leverev, or I think Sergey or Dmitry, one of them. It says Ryabkov's comments highlights Russia's growing alarm over NATO's annual nuclear deterrence drills and the modernization of Western arsenals. His warning coincides with heightened tensions over Ukraine and the collapse of arms control frameworks like the INF Treaty, raising fears of a renewed arms race and strategic miscalculation. It says the Kremlin's nuclear triad demonstrations and rejections of Trump's proposed peace terms for the Ukraine war signal a hardening stance that could complicate diplomatic efforts to end the conflict. I told you diplomacy is not going to be an answer. What did I tell you? So Russia don't want no peace. It'll be peace if NATO just backs off. See that? But they're not going to. The West are going to continue to come east. That was the whole thing Putin was talking about in the beginning, which started the whole war. All right. All right. Rayab commented the U.S. led development of global missile defense systems and forward deployment of intermediate range missiles. He also warned against plans to militarize space, calling it a transformation of the domain into a compact environment. And right, what did they say? The space is now made a domain for war. All right, that's what America said. It says Putin's nuclear drills tested the readiness of Russia's land, sea, and air-based strategic forces. The Kremlin confirmed successful launches of the Yars ICBM cruise missiles from the Tu-95 MS bombers and a ballistic missile from a submarine in the Barents Sea. It says a planned meeting between Trump and Putin in Budapest, right, to discuss the war in Ukraine was canceled amid rising tensions. The White House said no immediate plans exist to reschedule. Trump has publicly called for a peace based on the current battle lines, a proposal that Russia has rejected. Moscow retaliated its demand that Ukraine cede the entire Donbas region, uh, contradicting Trump's suggestion that the war should end where forces currently stand. Right. So, um, yeah, Russia wants more. They really want all of Ukraine, man, because it was once part of the Soviet Union. So why would they stop with what they've taken over with just that? They want to continue going on. You see that? And but Trump was stating like, oh, the um battle lines that's been drawn and set up now, right? Uh, Putin is saying, no, that's a no go. That's a no go. You see that? He's like, nah, they want they want the entire Donbas region. What is that? What is that? Let me see something real quick. Okay, I can't show y'all this, but let me see what that is. Okay, we got Crimea, which is already annexed. Okay, that's over. That's over like eastern Ukraine. That like by what is that? Luhansk? Is that what that is? I don't know what that's called, but it's the upper part of above Mariupol, Donetsk. So unless Ukraine is willing to give up that whole region, that's the only way the war is going to stop. So if they don't want to give it up, Russia's plan is to take it by force, just like how they did Crimea in 2016. I think it was 2016. You know, so there's no peace talks, like until you come to their terms. That's what Putin is saying. Until you come to their terms, that's the only talks that y'all gonna have. Just like the same thing with Iran. Iran ain't want no peace talk. The only peace talk y'all can talk. Let us enrich our uranium and make and make our nuclear power plants. They weren't even talking about weaponry. They were just talking about having like another form of energy. But but with that they would be able to create nuclear weapons and That's crazy. You want to be the only one able to create nuclear weapons? America can make all the nuclear weapons that they want to, right? But Iran can't. So there's no more negotiation under the terms that Trump wants. It has to be under these terms that these individuals that are fighting these wars and standing their ground from their terms. You know. All right. So what's this article says? It said NATO launched its annual Steadfast Noon nuclear deterrence exercise on October 13th, involving around 70 aircraft from 14 nations. In a press release, the alliance stressed that exercise was not linked to any current world event and that no live weapon would be used. It said Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov on Wednesday, among the relevant negative factors, we highlight the hostile policy of NATO countries, which can lead to to a head-to-head clash between nuclear powers, as well as the development by self-proclaimed nuclear alliances of schemes and means of the so-called joint nuclear missions, including the expansion of the geography of the United States nuclear presence in Europe, right? Because they're starting to stage nuclear weapons over there in Europe, allegedly right at the back door of Russia. It says, and the circle of countries to which the delivery of American special munitions to target its delegates. He referred to the building up of high precision long range capabilities by the West for so called preventative disarming strikes, including the forward and deployment of ground based intermediate range and short range missiles, and the plans of the United States and a number of its allies to launch weapons into space with the transformation into a combat environment. All right. It says, with Russia signaling a potential withdrawal from the remaining arms control treaties and NATO intensifying its deterrence posture, diplomatic channels may become even narrower. See that? They nobody want no diplomatic approach. They see like what they say. What they say? His words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. You know what I'm saying? So man, Russia knows they Edomites too. They know what time it is. They're Esau too, so they know the tricks of the trade. They know what the Americans trying to do, talking about a peaceful approach, but you setting up missiles all around us, all around them. You know what I'm saying? It says the risk of miscalculation or escalation remains high as both sides pursue pursue strategic demonstrations and reject compromise on Ukraine. They don't compromise. See that? They ready to go to war. That's what they're setting up for war. That's exactly what's being done. They're setting up for war. See that? See that? So, man, listen. You already know what that is. Hold on, let me get this real quick. All this moving around and maneuvering everybody doing, they're setting up for war, man. This is Jeremiah. Don't sound like a broken record, but it is what it is. All right, this is Jeremiah 50 and 22. It says, the sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. All right, because ultimately it's going to lead into Russia and America going head to head. It says, how is the hammer of the earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Because it was all set up from Yahweh Shim Shai in the beginning when they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It says, I laid a snare for thee, and thou were also taken. And mind you, see there? They talking about peaceful approach. They had already, once they had dropped the first bomb, Japan had surrendered, but they was like, you will yield and surrender, but they wanted to keep part of their regime. America said no. Now, same thing. They're telling Russia to surrender peacefully, but Russia said no. We want all of that back. See that? So this is all a setup from the beginning. It's a snare and a trap that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has set up for Babylon, man. And how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? All right. Verse 24 says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon. hmm And thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. All right. See that? So there's a reason why there's like a subliminal nuclear arms race going on right now. People talking peace, 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 but buying up all this you know what I'm saying, these weapons. It says, verse 25, it said, the Lord has opened his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation. This is the work of the Lord of hosts and the land of the Chaldeans. All right. So ultimately, this is what this is going to lead to: the destruction of America. Thus saith the Lord. All right. Lord, willing this lesson to edify and to serve is perfect for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh Shema Shai. With that, I'd like to say, call Halayim, La Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Harikak Wadash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, double honors to our elder apostles as well, our One Bar Yasharala down here in the Lions Den camp. Salutations to the archons that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth, and peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shema Shai. Shalom.